So this is like super important. Is this why so many of the Republicans will not break with him? Because it's about the Senate. Because if you don't win the Senate, the whole thing is almost pointless putting Biden in there. Mitch
Hey everybody, how's it going out there? So we're gonna take just a half a second of pause here. I'm gonna be working on getting a Skype link set up here so we can have a quick conversation with somebody. So bear with me just 1 second. I'm gonna leave the screen as it is so you can see everything that's going on, and we will be right back.
What's up, man?
All right, everybody. Good to see everybody in chat. So we're just going to do a quick recap of what we talked about last week and then jump right into the new deal here. So last week we got started on what we're going to do. So the plan for the next few months is we're going to be listening to and playing back and designing a show for a band based out of Nashville that I'm a huge fan of called Sweettalker. We're going to be working with a song of theirs called Goodbye, which is a fantastic tune. We've heard it a few times on the stream last week. We're going to be listening to it a few more times this week so everybody can get kind of familiar. But this week is more specifically about talking to our clients and figuring out what it is our clients are looking for and how we're best going to be how best we're going to be able to talk to them about their vision, talk to them about what they want to see, and then come up with a practical way to make this happen. And so to that end, we are honored and blessed to have David Brown from Sweettalker here over Skype from, I guess you're in Nashville, I assume.
That's right.
And so we are going to be rocking and rolling there. Let's go to a thing here so we can see. All right. So welcome, David. Welcome to our little start to finish stream here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for agreeing to jump on this. 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and giving us your thoughts on, kind of what your vibe for your band is.
Cool.
First things first, if take a few minutes and tell us about you and the band and, kind of your overall thing. Give us the pitch on you guys.
Well, so we kind of have somewhat of an eclectic sound. We're kind of like touching on a lot of different itches that rock scratches. And Goodbye is like kind of like hits that classic pop vibe. So with that, I was thinking like light colors, something that kind of gives us this like whimsical element. You know what I mean? Right. There's like some string sections and there's like some like nods to the Beatles, like nicely tucked into the mix. So it's kind of got all these like, it's got this like larger than life Disney feel to it. So I imagine that like I'm seeing like pinks and purples and lots of like, maybe some like floaty type feelings,
Gotcha. So a lot of big colors, a lot of not bold as like, we're not talking about like, big red anything, but it, definitely more of a bit more of a delicate feel with a big
yeah
red.
Yes.
Right on. So that's perfect. So I just want to kind of get a quick thing about your band. I know we've talked a little bit about it. For the guys who are for the first time looking at putting together a stage plot, can you give me just like a real brief hit on how you guys set yourselves up? I obviously in a real situation like this, we'd already be having a conversation with a production manager or a tour manager, and we'd be talking about how this, how the band is already laid out and how their stage plots look, and trying to work around that, or if possible to see about changing things up. So just kind of a basic hit. Are you guys pretty much drums in the center, string guys across the front, and then horns and keys in the back?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I know you guys are, you're very much on the come up. So, one of the things that we would have a conversation about is whether or not we put you guys on risers. Obviously your drummer Chris is going on a riser. That's kind of a, you got to see him back there.
Right.
Now, as far as lighting itself, like for you personally, as a performer, is there anything that you just cannot stand to see when you're on stage? So like, obviously for your band, we're not talking about big strobe lights and, giant flashes of anything. That's kind of not the right vibe for what you do. But like, are you a dude that like hates having lights pointed at you? Are you like,
I don't necessarily hate. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just looking for your feedback on that.
Yeah. I don't really. I don't hate lights being pointed at me because I'm looking out, but I'm inside my mind, right? So it's like the lights are kind of unaffecting me. I'm kind of like in my own world up there, especially in the middle of a song,
Right.
But I hate when, I would just hate like if there is no intention on what the lights are doing, then I would prefer there to be almost none. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like the lights are either doing something or they're off. Like, and I hate when I feel like I just hate the feeling of like, oh, the room lights are on now and we're just kind of like on stage. Like, I do not like that, right? Because it kind of takes me out of it, right?
Gotcha.
And I feel like it does.
So I guess the best way to describe that for me right now, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, is like, you want the show to be deliberate. Like, it's not going to be like the band is kind of easing on stage and they're playing now. Like, you want to have you want to have something that makes it feel like it's a show.
Yes. I mean, that's how we are in the practice room. Like, everything is meticulous and planned, and we think about things, and we try to make it feel natural, right? But it's all with intention behind it.
Perfect. That's huge. That's music to my ears, literally. So we are gonna. What I'm gonna do right now, if it's cool with you, David, is we're gonna actually play goodbye.
Okay.
For all the kids here, and then what we're gonna do is kind of just talk a little bit about pieces that I'm seeing and hearing in my head, and kind of go for you, because at the end of the day, this is your vision and your art, and I'm here to just I'm here to decorate it.
Awesome.
I'm here. I'm just putting a little extra salt on the meat. So let me pull this up and play this track here. There we go. And so here we go. David, you probably won't be able to hear much of this. I'll try and figure out a way to get some of it to you.
That's okay.
I mean, I know you know it better than anybody. So here we go, guys. We're going to be listening to Goodbye from Sweettalker.
We both came to goodbye. Whatever made you happy, whatever made you sad, I gave it all to you, darling.
Alrighty, guys. So that is Goodbye from Sweettalker. Once again, if you are just joining in or if you're just catching up, we have David Brown from Sweettalker here to talk to us a little bit about what the client wants to see in terms of a light show. So to that end, Dave, you still back with us?
Yeah.
Awesome. So one of the things that I immediately hear when I'm hearing this tune is all those little horn stabs and, kind of parts there. Now, kind of keeping with your theme of being a little bit meticulous about putting on this show, I absolutely see little hits of light coming on and off during those parts.
Totally
following all those da 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 da. Making hitting all those, and we're in a position nowadays with programming that I can be, I'm on time code, so I am we're dead onto the note. So there's, one of the things, that I think even with a more free kind of music or, less of a syncopated thing, sort of in the way you guys are, I just mean not in the sense of EDM or the metal guys, where, everything is hyper meticulous. There's a little bit of leeway for what you're doing, but my personal thing of it is just to make absolutely sure that above all else, what it doesn't look like is sloppy. It doesn't look like it's a thrown together thing. It doesn't look like the lighting guy's just jamming.
Right.
Even when he is that's, we've talked a little bit about it, but that's where I come from is doing a lot of jam shows, but there's a time and a place for that. And I feel like you guys aren't that. You guys should be a bit more thought out and a bit more planned. Now, one of the things that, that I've seen designers and programmers get in a little bit of trouble with, is going to is when they're making the show and they make this huge looking show, and at the end of the day, there's kind of two big schools of it. There's put on the big spectacle, make it the whole thing, or really focus in and make it about the guys on stage. And I'm kind of curious where in that kind of camp you see yourself as an artist. Is your goal to, when you're doing live shows, to do a, this is the band playing their songs, or is it, putting on the big Sweettalker show?
I think it's definitely way more about the show than it is about highlighting us as individuals. You know what I mean?
Right. So what I kind of think I mean more by that is you see a lot of you can see a lot of shows where it's the lights and the video and all that kind of stuff is just huge, and it really is larger than life. And there's also the same shows where you've got the You've got the lighting package and the visuals are meant to pull focus onto the people playing. And that's a very personal choice that I feel like LDs make on behalf of their artists sometimes, and they shouldn't. They should get their artist a little bit more involved so that they're not, halfway through the tour and the artist is going, man, I really think it's too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of curious how you feel about all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to this time when I saw Tame Impala play at the Amphitheater in Nashville, Ascend, and I thought it was really like they were kind of coming into their songs pretty fast, but they had this really cool like silhouetted feature where they were like silhouetted against colors and stuff like that, and it was kind of like I don't know, it just was really captivating to me, and I didn't feel like it was like, oh, we're just like we're here for the singer, so we're just looking at the singer. I was like, nah, this is the band, and I was just really vibing with that feel. I was like, man, this is like, I don't know. It was just like, it was more about the show than it was about a person. Right.
Right.
And
go ahead.
I was just saying to me, that was like, man, if I could make my show feel that way, that's what I would want to do. Right.
Yeah. And I totally get it. I've seen the Tame Impala show, and one of my texts from one of my last tours was out with Tame Impala just before the all the quarantines and stuff hit. And
wow.
I mean, I'm not sure which show you saw of theirs, but I know that the one that I saw and I was looking at it's absolutely like larger than life is an understatement. That thing is galactically huge.
Yeah.
And I totally wish I could have worked on that because it's so dang big and cool.
Yeah.
So
it was killer.
So, that's super, super good feedback, and it's super good stuff for a guy in my position to know how you're feeling about that. So when I'm planning on doing this kind of my initial thought is, because we're, I've told you a little bit about this, but we're looking at a club theater tour. We're not looking at something quite as big as like a Shed Like Ascend.
Sure. Yeah.
But I'm getting the initial feel that I want to put lights everywhere around you guys. I want to have just a big surround of something to be able to get that, exactly what you're talking about, to get that silhouette of color, and to get, that big spacey thing that's going to involve, on my initial thought, a lot of patterns up in the air, a lot of aerial effects. And
yes,
especially for this song, a fair bit of kind of, it's not fast movement, but a fair bit of movement to kind of follow the feel. Like, effectively, I want to have the lights that are moving in this show kind of give your audience a cue as to how they should be moving,
right,
to a degree. So like, if if the band is moving and the lights are swaying back and forth, it's going to be it's kind of an implicit call to action for your audience to do the same.
Right. Okay, that's smart.
I absolutely want to do a lot of that for this. So I'm thinking we're gonna put a bunch of effects up in the air behind you guys and over your heads, not necessarily through you guys. Maybe a little bit. Just, I've worked with a lot of clients that hate having lights like cross over their eyes and stuff. In this particular case, I'll probably I have a little bit more license to do that for the sake of the look of the show, in that I'm working with 3D mannequins and not you guys. Sure. I fully imagine that if it, and this is always kind of the case for a lighting programmer or lighting designer, you do the best show you can, and then you get to rehearsals or you get to the first couple of shows and you end up paring back just a little bit or building things up just a little bit, kind of depending on how it goes. But for the sake of this and for the sake of the the video series we're working on, I'm gonna go just a little bit over what I would say is like the limit of like how I would say like, oh, that, right there, that's the line. I'm gonna go just a little bit above it, and then
Okay.
and some acts, like some artists are super cool and like totally don't care and like think that's part of the show, and they're there to work and do the thing. And for some people, it's completely distracting, and like you said, if you're in your zone on stage, and I've made the mistake of being the guy who flashes too many lights and pulls the artist completely out of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're definitely going to be thinking about that in mind. But in the case of this particular thing we're doing, I'm going to go just a little bit above what I would normally do, because I get to in this case, because at the end of the day, this isn't going to be happening around you guys unless we do something totally rad, which we'll talk about later. This
is the prototype show.
Yeah, the whole idea here is we're coming up with a prototype in 3D modeling and 3D rendering, so that in a situation of a much larger tour, or one where the artist is really really involved, I would come up with a couple of these and then have videos to show you and say, this is what your show can and will look like. Cool. And then we can go and hopefully, and I'll impress upon you while everybody's listening to tell you that I'd love to have you back once we get kind of a good design and a couple of good looks in, so that you can give me your feedback on what you think.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So I think where we're at right now is a really good conversation. I think we've got all the information that I in particular would need to get things really moving. So there's a couple last things, and I know, and these are going to sound really esoteric questions to you, but I've been on the business end of doing of not having these questions answered, and it totally screwing with the show. So it's just one, and it's this is as far as I'm going to go in terms of like really really messing with stuff. When you're obviously you're doing a whole lot of singing on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any particular like sensitivity to like the smoke machines and the fog stuff?
Yes. So the smoke machine in particular dries my throat out. So it's like, as soon as that smoke hits my throat at all, it like sucks the moisture out, and I feel like I have to cough immediately. I can be in the middle of a line. So I've played shows where the production team was using a smoke machine, and we had to stop, because unless the smoke is on the floor and it's like staying there, but when you're in a situation where the room is really hot and like the smoke is just everywhere, it doesn't actually stay on the floor like it ought to.
Right. So
it's killer, man.
Yeah.
It kills me.
So this is one of these important questions, not necessarily for the design side, but for the actual implementation and putting it on the road, is making sure that our artists are comfortable with all the effects and stuff we're going to use. So my initial thing is, and this is, knowing nothing, I can immediately assume that one of the things that happened is you've got production crews that are using but a particular type of hazers that that can get real heavy in your throat. So my initial plan immediately is to think, okay, the oil-based stuff, which is probably what got used in your case, is out the window, and we're gonna have to go to something that's still really really good, and a water base. Mm-hmm. So and this will be for the guys later on once we get into the planning the gear loadouts and stuff. But that's for anybody who's watching the stream and listening, that is super critical information you're going to need about your artist to be able to put on a better show. Because if you're smoking out the show because it looks cool in the air, and it does, a smoke machine.
Yeah, it's killer.
The haze is all that. That's how you get those aerial effects, and that's how you get to see all those patterns and stuff in the air. But if your artist can't handle it, if your artist is, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, if it negatively affects your artist's ability to perform, you got to dramatically cut that down or cut it out completely. I've worked with a couple artists who say absolutely no, and then that's when those conversations about compromise come into play, because at the end, if there's nothing, then there's nothing I can put in the air. The only thing I can do is put stuff on the wall and put stuff on the floor.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And so this is when it's there are some artists who don't care, and you can just blow it out and they're fine. And those are both fun and scary days, because the second you go too far, you've gone way too far. So this would be a situation where, you and I in particular, when we'd be, I'd try and really push to have a couple of days of the rig up in a rehearsal room somewhere.
Totally.
Whether at like SIR here in Nashville, or, you go so far as to rent out Marathon on an off day. Or, any place like that, or any real warehouse space, and actually work through it and figure out what that limit is, and figure out if there's, ways to mitigate that. So in your case, I would probably, again, because of the look you want for the show, I would still do, more or less what I would always do, being careful about the equipment I use and making sure that I'm not putting, the really oily, weird stuff that gums up your throat and, makes you cough and sound weird and get scratchy.
Yes.
But then I'd also very much suggest to you as an artist, like, hey, let's put a fan on the floor in front of you. And that has its own challenges, because, now we're talking about messing with microphones and sound a little bit, but just enough to keep, fresh air coming to you, instead of letting the stuff that's up in the air fall down onto you.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I feel like I would totally agree. I would definitely want there to be all the cool, bells and whistles we can bring with us, especially smoke, because it's a vibe setter. But yeah, I think you're right. There's a point in where it's critical mass, and you can't really go too far overboard with it, because it would definitely impede the performance.
It affects you guys, and I've gotten, for me personally, I've gotten read the riot act by an artist who, we had the show looking good, and it was all fine until our artist goes on stage and the house air conditioner shut off.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden it's just billowing into the one space around her, and all of a sudden you're getting yelled at, and it's like, there's nothing you can do, but you still gotta, one of the critical things is paying real close attention. So that is awesome. Thank you so much, David. I'm going to go ahead and let you have the rest of your morning.
Cool.
But again, thank you so much for agreeing to do this, for, being so generous with letting us play your tune over and over and over and over and over again, as it's going to have to be done. And letting us work with, and as freely as you have, giving me a little bit of permission to play around with your band effectively. I'm playing you guys on stage. And
yes.
I've got a few messages in chat also, thanking you for joining in and, being so cool with your time and your music.
Absolutely. You're welcome, guys. No problem.
All right. David, thanks a lot. I will be talking to you again soon.
Cool,
really
man.
Appreciate you. Have yourself a great day, dude.
You too, man. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good one.
Take care. All right, guys. So we have just had an awesome conversation with our artist. Now that we know what we're getting into for what the artist wants to see. So we're gonna jump over and look at it for a second, and we're gonna jump right in, guys. We are. I'm gonna take probably 2 minutes off and, drink coffee without having to worry about making noise. But we are going to we're gonna get right in it. So real quick, we're gonna pop over to my screen here, and So just as a reminder for what what we talked about with David, I'm going to pop these things, make them big so we can kind of see what's going on here. So he likes a lot of whimsical elements, a lot of nods to the Beatles. If you heard the song with us, you 100% heard that. Especially in that bridge, there's a lot of that, big airy, the big harmonies that came with that vibe of the Beatles. And then they want that. He specifically said kind of a larger than life Disney feel. To me, that means putting a lot of stuff up over them. One of the kind of side benefits, kind of a happy accident that comes along with what we talked about at the end of that conversation, where he's worried about hazers and smoke machines getting in his throat and scratching him up and making him have a hard time to sing, is that when you put a fan down there, at his feet, up at him, it blows the smoke up out of the way. That's definitely a, you get the plus out of that, but you also get this added plus of kind of a halo around him, in that there's going to be all the beams and gobos and all the patterns and stuff we have up in the air. And once you hit kind of where that fan is blowing the hazer out, it's just going to stop. And then all that's going to be on your artist is the light itself, the actual light reflecting off his person, and not the stuff in the air, which is a super, super cool look. It's going to depend on your rooms to some degree, but it's a really cool look if you can get a hang of it. So, there's, with every compromise you make on one side, every door you close opens a window. So what we're going to do is we're going to take just a couple of minutes. It's 10:35 now. We're going to be back in like 2 or 3 minutes. And we will get into all the design stuff that he talked about and kind of what what kind of it feels like to me, and we'll get into that in just a moment here. So enjoy some tunes and talk amongst yourselves. We shall be right back. Alrighty, guys. We're back in it. I'm gonna turn this music up and then down separately so it doesn't blow me out. Oh, much better, much better. All right, y'all. So we have all the notes from our artist. We have our design ideas of what we want to do. We're gonna jump in, and we're going to just get right to it. One of the best times to get started on a design or any kind of show is right after you've had that conversation and it's fresh in your head, and you've got all the you've got all this inspiration after talking to your guy. You've been listening to the song, you've been listening to the band, and you've got your ideas of what you want to do. And so let's put a couple of first ideas down on paper. It's currently 10:40. I'm going to go for probably a solid hour of just fooling around with different ideas and looking at things. And one of the things that I want to have as a part of this this whole stream deal is that I don't want to do it with just me. I want to hear input from you guys. So as we're going through this, I would love to see in the chat what you guys are initially thinking, what you guys are feeling about what we're going to do. So, be thinking about it, post your ideas in the chat, and we'll be looking back and forth at it as we go. So right out the gate, let's jump into WYSIWYG and see what we got. So this is the WYSIWYG file we had when we started, or when we got done with last week's stream. So the first thing I'm going to do is pop out the template truss, the overhead stuff, because that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about just the band. So let's pull out template truss, and then we can close all the template stuff. So one of the things I don't recall if I did, I need to move did I do guitar? Did I put them all in the right place? I did. I'm feeling good about that. So one of the things that got talked about with the band is that what they run is it's a 4-piece band, and then for this tune in particular, when they do their bigger shows, which we're gonna kind of assume for the moment they are, is we're talking about a 3-piece horn section and a keyboard player. We haven't done the keyboard player yet, so let's do that right now. We're going to zoom in, and we're going to put our keyboard player right here. So we're going to add a new layer up here. We're hit new layer. We're going to name our layer. So we've done all the things. So we're doing Sweettalker. I'm going to prefix it by putting Sweettalker. That's the band. That is, the big thing I want to put in here, and then we're going to do keys. So we're going to find it. We don't have a group yet, so we're going to leave it out of the group. No, we can put it in Sweettalker band. Can't we? Yeah, we put it in band. Boom. So new layer, we've got keys. We're going to double click on this check mark here to select that group. And then we're going to go in here and put our keyboard player in. So one of the first things we know, if you were on the stream last week, we talked about it. I'm just going to bring it up real quick here. Our stage floor is at 6 feet above 0. So one of the first things you want to do is set your missing coordinate, which is this guy over here. For missing coordinate, we're going to set it to 6 feet. It already is. So we are good to go. So now, since we're in our keys layer, we're going to go down here to our library browser. And we're going to go to the library. We are going to find people and mannequins. I prefer mannequins because it works the best for this. And we're going to go with musical instruments, standing keyboard. Now let's look at what we've got here. We got one guy at a keyboard. We got 2, 3, 4. So you can see down here, we've got all of our kind of representations of what our different keyboard players are going to look like. I would imagine for this one, they're going to have, it's either going to be a guy with one keyboard, or it's going to be the kind of, V'd out set of 2 keys. And then there's the bigger version of that. I'm going to say we're going to go with the 2 keyboards off at the 90 degrees. So let's pop him in. We're going to click and drag. Come on, click and drag. Oh, double click. Double click. There he is. Now we got this keyboard player. And we are going to pop it in right there. Boom. Cool. We are going to hit F to finish placing our objects. And now we've got our keyboard player. We've got all the rest of the band. So here are our dudes. So my initial thought right out the gate is, one, I want to move the bass player forward a little bit. He needs to be like here. Just a touch behind guitar player 2. There we go. So now if we go to our isometric view, you can see we've got all our band here. Everybody's hanging out. We've got our instruments. So we got our bass cab, guitar amp, you know, all the horns. We don't have microphones and stuff on here, but that's fine. You know, that's one of those things that's just kind of in the way all the time anyways. So we are going to start right out the gate with what we think. And, you know, one of the things he talked about is he wants to have a thing surrounding him. So my feeling straight away is, you know, we have to think a little bit about logistics. We can't be putting, you know, this is a band where we're going to be, you know, maxing out at like a box truck or maybe like 2 bus trailers. So instead of doing, a bunch of pre-rig trucks that we're going to tip up and have, you know, 8 feet up in the air, you're going to be out of space really fast. I'm going to be doing pipe. Things to think about when you're doing a pipe rig. It's going to take you a little bit longer. You got to hang all the fixtures on their own. You can't just pre-rig them and shove them in. So you have to be conscious about what it's going to take to do your load-ins as you're designing it. Yes, Cedric. So the whole idea here and what we're doing top to bottom on this is that I want to show you guys what it's like to put together a mid-level club theater tour. This isn't just we're doing a one-off show and it's going to be, you know, it's going to be great and we can blow it out and we can hang all the things we want to hang and, like, you know, have way more budget than we think we should and, you know, all this stuff and have all these people. No, this is going to be a tour. And, you know, my thought for this tour, based on the size of the shows that, a band at this caliber and this level would be expecting, is you're going to be seeing the LD being the entire lighting crew. LD is not going to bring any other techs with him. So the LD is going to have to be able to build this show with, let's call it 2 guys in a couple of hours. You know, there's not going to be time to go slow and take your time and rig something that's got to be done. We got to be able to slam this guy in. So we're going to go with pipe for that. One of the initial things, so let's go back to our layered database and just get started right on it. So we're going to go to, I don't have a group. So it have to be simple and efficient. Yes, but it also has to look huge. The whole idea here is, you know, there's a lot of stuff that you can do. This isn't going to be just, we're not going to do like, you know, 4 movers on the floor and call it a day and have some uplights. No, we're going to do more than that. But you got to think a bit more about what, and especially when you're picking out your fixtures, what is going to be a huge impact with not a lot of work and not a lot of lights going around. You know, this isn't the kind of tour, and this isn't the kind of band also where you can do, you know, 30 beams. You know, there is a you have to design appropriately for the artist. So I'm going straight away thinking a big arc of vertical pipes around the back of the back line and around the back of the band. So let's jump right into that. We're gonna start with tour lighting, which I've already got groups made, so that's good news for us. We are going to start with a new group that we're gonna put in our ungrouped area, and we're gonna call this tour rigging. And I know that it's not rigging, it's not stuff up in the air. We're working with pipe, but rigging is a great, overall feel for this. So we're going to call it tour rigging. With that selected, with the group selected here, like we have, if you're doing on any other one, you're going to find this guy here for new group. And you're going to say, well, actually, we've kind of done a thing, but I can work with it. So we're going to go tour_rigging. Awesome. And then we're going to change the name of this one to pipes. Oh, that already exists. So we're going to call it tour pipes. Tour pipes. I have pipes in a little thing down here that I've been working on. So we've got our tour pipes layer. And did it make something visible that I don't want it to? Get out of here. What else is visible? Tour lighting. I don't need that. There we go. So we're going to start with getting our pipes on the ground and figuring out where they go. So in the notion of planning on that, we're going to be working with a band in 2 bus trailers. That's going to limit how long your pipes can be. In the case of most touring in the US, your standard bus trailer is going to be 14 feet long. So you have to be under that. In our case, I'm going to stick to 10 feet because that just works right out the gate. So we're going to go back into our we're going to make sure we're selected on our right tour pipes layer here. Cool. We're going to go home into the library. Actually, it's in Truss Library. Yes. In the Truss Library, we're going to hit pipe, section Imperial, 10 feet. So we're going to select it. Now you can see that it is placing it, flat to the ground here. And it's currently placing it at 6 feet. So what we're going to do is kind of cheat that a little bit. We're going to stop here. We're going to hit A to abort placing an object. We are going to change our missing coordinate to 11 feet. And I'll tell you why as we go. We've got 11 feet. We're going to take a 10-foot pipe. We're going to place it out here in space so we can work with it. Click, cool. We're going to hit F to finish it. Now we can look at this big old piece of pipe that's sitting out 10 feet up in the air. I'm going to turn off the backdrop because I can. Goodbye, backdrop. So now we've got this pipe here. What we're going to do is we're going to spin this pipe around. So we're going to hold Control R for rotate. We are going to either pick the base point or press enter to use the insertion point. We're going to press enter. Oh, that's not the right one. We're going to hit abort. We're going to go rotate. Select mid-grid snap. Oh, we're fighting right at the thing. And I don't know why. It's because of some dealie here. We're going to select midpoint snap. How about that? Midpoint snap. Turn it around 90 degrees. Hit click. Cool. So now we have a 10-foot pipe pointed straight up and down. Now, in the real world, when you're doing this and you're taking on tour, you're going to be screwing the pipe into a base plate or using a base plate where you can drop it in and then kind of bolt it shut. I'm not going to do that here, only because we know that that's going to be there. When it's something that's that obvious and it doesn't affect the show, I don't worry so much about that kind of thing in my previs when I know what I'm doing with it already. So I know that I'm putting this into a big heavy base. I don't need to go through the trouble of trying to bring that base into CAD because that's not what people are looking at. That's not the intention of the show. It's holding up this pipe. So let's find this pipe. It went off into space somewhere. Where are you? There you are. Really hard to see this pipe. That is a drag, but we will work with it. So we're going to move this guy. Come on. Move. Move. This guy over here somewhere. So let's see what that did, because we did not mess around with any of our views and missing coordinates, so we're going to see where it went. Yeah, it dropped down a little bit. And that dropped down because at that top coordinate, it was at, so it's the top of the pipe is what's being marked by this Z, by the Z. So we're going to call this 16 feet. Move it up 5 feet. There we go. We're going to go to the top. We're going to set our missing coordinate right now to 16 feet because we know we're messing with that pipe. We got to find it. There it is. So let's say we're going to do 10 of these. So let's initially plan out where one is going to go and then work our way around. We're going to say this one is a little bit too far out for my taste. So let's move it to 24 feet. So that's assuming a 48-foot wide stage. That is not a small stage by any stretch of the imagination. And, you know, one of the things that you get to do when you're working with a show like this is you're able to condense because, again, we're working with just pipe. So we can squeeze it in for a smaller show and squeeze it onto a smaller stage. And then when we're on a bigger stage, just put a little bit more distance between your pipes. So we're going to take a peek again, make sure we're all good here. Awesome. Now I want to get this guy here into a bunch of different places. So we're going to copy and paste. It's easiest for me. Now there are ways to do other things. You can array this over an arc, and that's awesome. You can do all kinds of array things with WYSIWYG. In the case of doing 10 pipes, I want to be really specific about where I place them. So I am just going to go ahead and place them one at a time. So if we go by every 6 feet, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one in the middle. So I don't want to go 6 feet. But what if I did 5 feet? Or close to it. Let's say 4 feet. So we're at 24 feet. And 26. So now we got these two. We're going to take again, copy, paste. So we were at 20 feet. So now we're going to go to 16 feet. And move it. Now we're going to go 12 feet. I think 4 feet's going to be way too much. We're going to end up with a lot of pipe here. Yeah. I think that's a little bit overboard. We're not going to be having 30 of these things on the floor. So let's start over. And you know what? Let's do we're going to do it. Let's do tools, array. There's array linear and array polar. How are you going to do this play picture? So that's a great question, Cedric. Right now I'm thinking about the infrastructure. So I'm thinking more about the pipes and how I'm going to get stuff in the air. And then that's the canvas. So I know that I want to do a big, arc around the band. And that's what's going to get me that's what's going to get me my bones, my frame. And then I'm going to be able to populate that with fixtures as we go, because I know because at that point I have a structure in mind, and now I just gotta, now I gotta put the lights on it. To answer your question about trailer space planning, that is why we're going with pipe and not a whole bunch of GT truss tipped up on its side. You can do GT towers all day, and it's an awesome thing. But in this situation, because we're going to be space limited, you're not just taking a lighting package on this tour. You've got to be able to figure out how you're going to plan the lighting package, the audio consoles, both front of house and monitors, all the backline, all the instruments, and then merch on top of that. And then plus whatever else the band wants to bring along, and, any extra bits and stuff that they want to have riding in the trailer. So yeah, you know, when we say it's a 2-trailer tour, you better be thinking about, I got to make this fit maybe into one, you know. So you definitely need to think all that out and be a bit more conscious of what you have kicking around. So we're going to do this one here. We're going to do this one here. We're going to do one, let's say here. And then let's see what it looks like. So we're going to take the band out of the equation for now. And then we can start moving these things around. I don't know why they're showing up as a black pipe. They shouldn't be for now. Is it just that they're using layer color? Yeah, they got a custom color. Let's use a layer rendering color. Maybe we can see it. Nope. I'm actually not used to seeing that. But we can see right out the gate that I need to have one more in here. So let's plan on moving this a little bit. Move just a little bit over here. So then we can highlight and look at them all. Okay, we're gonna take this guy. I'm holding Control M to turn on move, selecting it. We're gonna move it. So there's that. So then we got all this here. So let's take this guy. We're gonna take this pipe here. We're gonna move him right about here. So we're gonna take this pipe, Control M, select our pipe, and move it over a bit. Uh-oh. Oh, I thought WYSIWYG wanted to try and crash on me here. So we're getting closer. We're going to take this guy, and I'm going to move him down just a little bit. So we got this, and now we are 6 feet and change away. We're going to do another one that's just a few feet away. Okay, so now we got kind of this basic thing here. And we're going to be working more with it as we go. So, you know, this isn't final placement. We're just kind of getting a basic vibe. So we've got these guys here, and we want to copy it across to the other side. So for that, in WYSIWYG, the best thing to use is the mirror tool. By default, if you've got your items selected that you want to place, you're going to hold Control W for mirror, and then select what your axis point is. So what it's going to mirror around, what it's going to flip from. In this case, we're flipping from dead center. So we're going to pick one line that's dead center, or one point, and pick another point. And there you go. Now it flips the whole thing. And if we did it right, now we got 10 pipes, all semi-equidistant. And we'll fine-tune that as we go. But this is kind of our starting point. This is what I think, you know, this is what I think the show starts with, is getting this structure in place so that, okay, we know that this is where this band is going to be. So now we've done that. And I still don't know why the pipes aren't showing up. That actually really kind of chaps my ass. One thing I wish we had the ability to do is select. Let's see, select truss. Okay. I don't have any other truss in the view. So there's our pipe. We're gonna hit Z to, when you hit Z in WYSIWYG, it's gonna zoom out to everything that is visible. So now that we've got our pipes, we can get rid of our band. Goodbye, band. And now we can start thinking about what we're gonna put on it. Like we talked about in the last stream, we are in our, you know, scenario here. We're working with Christie Lights, who's a wonderful vendor. They're based in Canada, but they're all over the world. They used to have an awesome office in Nashville, but they recently closed it, thinking about all the coronavirus stuff. If you're looking into the tool in item properties, you can make them thicker. Thank you, Chris. I am not the most. I'm still working very much with with WYSIWYG and still learning. So let's see here. In properties, general, we can do line weight. There we go. Maybe that'll do something. Let's boost that line weight a little bit. Let's apply it. See it? Nope. Still not there. I mean, if I really goose it, still don't see him. It's crazy time. Let's take out the use layer color. Will that affect me at all? No. I don't know, but it's driving me nuts. Let's do custom color. Let's make them just big, bright white. Maybe? Nope. Still funky. Use a white background. I'm not even sure I can use a different background color in the CAD views, but if there's a way, please let me know, because looking at it in black view is... it has its ups and downs. But we know what we're looking at. There they are. Ooh, that's a lot of line weight. We're gonna take that away. That was too much. Default. Okay. There's our pipes. The first thing I'm thinking about, just kind of out the gate, is all right, let's see what you're saying here. We're gonna learn. So draw options, general background color. We're gonna take off document settings. Let's make it a light gray, and maybe something cool will happen. Oh, there's a light gray. But now everything's white and you can't see it. And even if we did, that pipe is still gone. How crazy is that? It shows up in the... it shows up when you select it. You can see that pipe, but you can't see it in the thing. I'm going to go back to what I knew for now. Yeah. Is it just that I'm zoomed out real far? No. It's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers, guys. But let's start thinking about the... let's immediately start thinking about what we're going to do for putting fixtures on here. If you guys have seen any of my designs, and if you've seen a lot of designs lately, you will have definitely seen and worked with guys putting X4s on vertical pipes. I like it. I think it's a great, it's an amazing look. You get to do so much cool stuff with it. I think we should do a couple of those, but not a ton. My initial thought right out the gate is to do, I would say put one on each of the two outer pipes. So that way, when we have the band and we're looking at the band, we're able to get some side light on our drummer. We're able to get some light into the stage to do some, basic coloring. And maybe we'll do a couple more elsewhere. You know what? I'm thinking here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to do an X4 bar here, 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 here. So out of the 10 pipes, 6 of them are going to have an X4 bar on it. The reason I'm thinking about these is so that I'm going to be able to sneak a light in here and silhouette our singer in colors. And like we discussed with David, that's going to be a thing he wants to see, and that'll get us the ability to that's going to get us the ability to get color behind and silhouette. And he talked about how he liked that, and when he saw the Tame Impala rig, and we're going to give it to him because we can. And nothing feels better than making your artist's dreams come true when it comes to the lighting package. So let's do that. I'm going to look at chat real quick. You have the options. Always print white paper. That's odd. Sorry, on my computer for me. It's all good, Chris. I've got to look at it again and figure out what's going on with it. But it works. I can see what I've got. I know where the pipes are, and I know how to hang lights on them, so it's all good. Cedric, so are you mainly focused on floor package because you don't know what rigging points you got in different venues, right? So yeah, like we talked about in the last stream, This is not a tour where I'm going into an empty room and putting up a big show. I'm taking this into a club that's going to be anywhere from 500 to 2,000 person capacity, and they have a lighting package already installed in their venues. You know, they've already got a complement of movers and washes and LED stuff and spots and all that stuff. And we are just bringing in a floor package for the sake of speed and expediency to put up a light show that is unique to our artist that still takes into account the venue. So like we talked about with cloning, this is why cloning is a thing for a lot of LDs. We are going to be doing exactly that. We're going to be planning out a show that you can tour and then you clone the aerial package in. Because if you're going to bring out stuff that you're going to rig, you've got to bring out riggers, you got to bring out chain motors, you got to bring out extra power distro, you got to bring out all this stuff. And in the case of a tour of this size, where we are talking about roughly a box truck for the entirety of the production, not just lighting, the entirety of the production. Yes, we're not going to be rigging a damn thing in here besides hanging a backdrop on a pipe. And 99 times out of 100, that pipe for the backdrop is already there in the venue. Do I even bring fixture to hang in a tour? Yeah, I do it all the time. That's when I'm working in sheds and larger theaters. And depending on, budget, labor requirements, all kinds of things, that's when I'll make that decision about whether or not we're actually going to rig that day or whether or not we're going to use the house. Most of the time I will hang my rig because I want my show to be my show. But, sometimes it's not financially viable to do that. Sometimes it costs you a lot of money to bring down a house lighting package, push it out into a hallway somewhere, or they would physically put it all back into cases. And for you to bring your show in, hang it for the one night, and then you got to pay them again to take their whole rig back out of their cases and rehang it. So in this case, what we're talking about is a theater/club. And, aside from EDM shows where the only thing they're really having to worry about for production is lighting and visuals, they're not bringing a ton of backline and guitar amps, and, they don't necessarily need huge consoles. They're able to travel a lot lighter in those departments. In our case, we have to do this. So let's start right away putting our lights where we think they're going to go. We are going to get rid of the band for now. And we're going to make a new layer. We're going to call it SWT for Sweettalker X4. It's going in the ungrouped. We're going to make a new group, SWT fixtures. So now we got our fixtures. For LEDs, I start them off in green. So we're just going to know that that's happening. We're going to go to front view. So what we talked about, if I can get this thing centered. There we go. Is I'm going to put an X4 here, 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 and here. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go into our library browser. Fixtures. X4. You just hit X4 bar 20. That's what we're going to take. So we are going to double click on the X4 bar 20 and we're going to start talking about where it hangs. And you can see it's kind of hanging off into a funky direction. Don't worry about that for right now. For right now, what I want to do is get it on the pipe, and then we can worry about placement and like which way it's pointed. So one thing you do kind of have to worry about is with WYSIWYG in particular, once you hang a fixture on a pipe, on a truss or whatever, you can't enter in just an X value for where it goes. So you have to kind of plan where it's going to go ahead of time and be ready to edit a little bit. So we're going to pick a center at 12 feet, which makes it 6 feet above the 6 feet above the ground. And so we'll pick 1, pick 2. We'll go back to 12 feet, 3, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we're going to hit F to finish placing the fixture, and there we go. So one of the things that happened, you can immediately see something that kind of went a little funky. If you look, they're looking the opposite directions, and you can see the tails of the fixture are opposite. That's because we mirrored. And one of the things that happens with a mirror is, directions and things can get weird. There's a couple of ways to go about correcting it. You can flip individual pipes. You can spin fixtures. There's not a wrong way to do it in my estimation, but it's just a personal preference. In the case of this one, where we don't have a ton of lighting fixtures, we're not going to bring a ton of stuff out. So let's go ahead and we'll just go ahead and let it be for now, and we'll spin things as we need to. It's bloody annoying. Damn right. I wish there was I wish they had, a way to lock, when possible, use the same fixture orientation, but you can't fight City Hall on that one. It's especially true if you ever place a truss in the air and then build to one side and then build to the other side. So build to the right and then build to the left. It flips the truss around and drives you nuts. But yep, you and I are on the same page. It's crazy. I still do it, but what I do now is build the truss, ungroup the truss, flip the truss pieces I need to flip, then regroup the truss, and it's all good. That works really quickly for me. It's bonkers. So in this case, what I'll do, let's just go through it just to say we did it. We're going to do, we're going to get rid of those fixtures because we're going to be messing with the pipes. So, because there's only 5 pipes, we only have to do 5. So we're going to hit Control R, enter. Nope, not for that insertion point. Abort. We are going to say Control R for that, or select midpoint. Midpoint. Flip. We're going to move on. I'm going to just select midpoint for now so I can do all the things. We've done 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Awesome. We are done rotating things. I'm going to turn off midpoint snap because I'm not using it on anything I'm doing. So one of the things that you will notice is I didn't do all of them together because that's going to flip the whole thing over, and then your placement's all screwy. So in that case, you gotta just blah. So that's how you do that. I'm gonna look at chat. I know never place pipe. I always hide a pipe inside a place for stone. That's how it means I can change truss to match what a vendor has in aftermarket. That's true. Except I've definitely seen that done. In the case of planning out a tour like this, we've already picked our vendor. We know that for whatever reason, let's say the band has a really great relationship with Christie Lights, and the drummer's sister's, roommate works in the shop, and that person did an awesome job of driving business to the sales reps, and they've said, we want to go with this. So we know we're going with that here. In the case of some stuff, yeah, putting in a pipe is great, and you can do that. Especially true if you're working in a pre-rig situation, like different types of pre-rig truss. However, if you're working with different types of just standard box truss, if the chords of the truss are going to be different, if it's a different Euro style versus an Imperial style, you're still going to have to re-rig it, because now all of a sudden you got to think about where the cords of those trusses, where the welds meet and where your clamps are. And at the end of the day, you know, we're going to design the best show we can in CAD. And, you know, unless we're talking about a multi-million dollar production where everything has to be to the millimeter perfect, you know, there's a little bit of play. You have to be thinking about putting it together in the real world and how the real world works. And the real world can be a little bit sloppy. So you have to be okay with making a compromise and going, okay, these fixtures aren't going to be exactly spaced, you know, 1 meter apart. For like one winged pair of these fixtures, I have to compromise and move it this far inward. And that's just life. So we're going to go ahead and, you know, expect that and plan for it and deal with it. So let's hang these fixtures back where they were. We're going to do that. And you can see all the way over on this side of the screen, I'm lining up to the little line at 12 feet here. I know it's not going to be exact. If I click on each one, they're going to be a fraction off. I'm going to deal with that here in just a minute, but I want to get as close as I can for now. Because even if I'm just, you know, off by a pixel on my screen here, you know, you can see up at the top right of my window here, there's the position tool. And you can see that the position tool right now, it has the X and Y perfect, but the Z is currently off by 3/16 of an inch. That's okay. You know, we can move it if we need to, but you can see when I click on it, I cannot edit. I can't move it. I can't do anything because it's a fixture, and for some reason you can't do it. So 13/16. Uh-oh. 13/16. 11 and ooh. I might have placed them all exactly in the same spot. There you go. Every single one of these bars is at 11 feet, 11 inches, and 13/16. That's good enough for me. I'm going to call that right. I'm going to call that perfect. So now let's look at our top view. And here's all our fixtures on our magic invisible pipes. We're going to right click, select fixtures by type, select those, and we're going to quickly turn them. So if you hit Alt Enter, you get properties. If you go to fixture, you can start moving stuff around. In this case, because we're on a vertical pipe, I believe it's going to be tilt. So let's do 90 degrees because it's going 90 one way or another. Hit OK. And that didn't seem to do a damn thing. So we're going to cancel that because that didn't work. Let's say spin. I think spin's the thing when you're in... yeah, spin's the guy when you're in CAD view. So we did 90 and now they're pointed directly upstage. Nope, negative 90. And now they're pointed directly downstage. We hit OK. Am I missing one? Oh yeah, these are the guys. Oh yeah, I didn't mean to have a guy here. Get out of here, light. Yeah. So if we select them, there's our fixtures. Let's bring our band back into it and just do a quick look at a shaded view. So we can see what we're playing with so far. That's all we're playing with so far. We've got our pipes. And actually, I think the white pipe looks pretty dope. We've got our pipes. We've got our, 6 fixtures that we're going to play with for this particular effect. So we know that we can do those wavy motions with the tilt of the X4 during, like, we can do that during the bridge where it's a bit of a Beatles vibe. We can do it during, the last couple of choruses where it's a bit more open, where it's not a focused, particularly for this song with all the syncopation. It's bop, 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 bop. You want to be a little bit more focused. So, but we know we have all these options. So, good times. We'll call that one done for now. Let's remove the band again. There goes the band. So here is our current look, and that's awesome. Now, one of the things you heard him talk about is that he likes a lot of larger than life. He wants it to be big. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off immediately with putting some stuff on the floor. We talked about putting gobos up in the air behind the band, and you can get away with a lot of that with whatever package you're gonna clone into. But if you watched any of the highlights from the big long full day stream that I did a while back, you can't rely on that. You're not always gonna get a rig that has movers in it. Some days you're just going to get LED pars and that's it. You better make a show out of it. So I don't want to rely on the house rig for anything besides adding goodies and adding, some bones. So let's talk about putting some stuff on the floor. And I think a good place for that is going to be just kind of between the pipes, putting maybe a mover down there, mover or two. So let's think about Christie lights. We know the stuff they carry because we looked at it through the last stream. I'm going to pull up a browser so I can look at it again. So if I go to Christie lights, I know you guys can't see this. I'm off in my own little world over here. So let's pull this up so you guys can see. So I'm at Christie Lights website. Go rental equipment. I'm in North America, so we're going to select North America. Moving lights. All kinds of things. A Viper is way too big for this kind of show, I think. A Viper is a big damn fixture. It is really, really bright, and it does a lot of really cool aerial effects, and it's a fantastic fixture. But it's also going to prove really expensive. Renting 6 X4 bars is already, that's a lot of money for a band to take on the road. X4 bars are pricey fixtures. So let's be thinking about other things that we can do to get around what we're not going to have and what we're not going to have access to. So the quantum profile has been around a long time. It's a workhorse fixture. It's LED, so we know it's lightweight on power, which is good for us. Because we may not have, a 200 or 400 amp 3-phase hookup. We may have to figure out a way to do this with Edisons. In that event, you really want to be, thinking. So let's pick a quantum profile. We know the quantum profiles are pretty rad. So let's take a quantum profile. We're going to first thing is create a new group or a new layer, I should say. And we'll call it Sweettalker profiles. And profiles, the quantum profile in my eyes is a spot fixture. So I'm going to call it spots. And for me, spots are always red. So it's going to be red. Layer group, we're going to go Sweettalker fixtures. Make current is selected here. So it's going to immediately pop me into that layer so I can do it. Mac 3s are out too then. Yes. I think if I put if I put 8 Mac 3s on a show like this, I'd already be putting the trailer overweight just with the fixtures in the case. Those things are beastly. They're bright as hell. I mean, I want to say it's still the brightest fixture Christie Lights owns, unless they got Stelos for some reason, which I don't think they did. And it's just a weird happenstance that it's, because it's freaking lasers. So we're going to say quantum profile in the library browser, search Mac quantum profile. Here we go. So we're going to hang a, oh no, we got to hang, cannot hang fixture here, move over a hang structure. We don't have hang structures. The hang structure is the ground. So we're going to hit A to abort. And we are going to select this, right click, insert on floor. Hey, look at that. That gives you a whole new range of things. So we're going to put it on the floor. I'm going to pick a spot roughly between each pipe here. And so that way we'll have, 8? So we got 1. Now I can't see these 2 pipes, so we're going to say 2, 3. And we'll go back a little bit further. Let's pick here, just cuz. Let's now remove the band from our layer database for now. Goodbye, band. Just because I want to select a whole lot of stuff and I don't want to. Okay, so now you can see we've got. Actually, that's not too far off. I'm going to take these guys and move them up a little bit, and this guy's going to move over just a bit. This guy's going to go here. Don't get out of here. Oh, you got to select the right thing. There it is. No, there it is with the little box. That's just about perfect for me. In terms of in the center, I want to take this guy down a little bit again. I went too far. Right there. So now when you look at it, you get a cool symmetrical vibe. That's awesome. We are going to select fixtures by type, quantum profile. And we're going to do the same thing we did before with the mirror. So we're going to hold Control W. Select the first axis point. Select the second axis point. Hey, we've got them all in the right place. So now if we go to that orthogonal view. Oh, they're way up in the air. Oh no, I've done something very bad. Real easy to fix, guys. Don't sweat it. What we did not do is redo our missing coordinate, that Z coordinate. We're still set at like 17 feet or something like that. So we're going to select all our quantum profiles. When it's a fixture placed on the floor, you can move them around based on exactly where they are in 3D space. When they're hung on a hanging position, you cannot. But if they're on the floor, you can move them around inch by inch, millimeter by millimeter. And we can see, if we look over here, our Z, which is our height, they're 16 feet up in the air. Well, that's not cool. The floor is only 6 feet up in the air. So we're going to hit 6, enter, A. Now they're where they're supposed to be. So if we go to a shaded view, you can look and you can see we've got this nice little arc of stuff happening with some fixtures in the middle. And everything is starting to take shape. That's good news. We're going to hit Control S and save and hope it doesn't crash because I'm running WYSIWYG, I'm streaming, I'm recording video, I'm doing all the things all at once. It's bonkers. So we've got that part. We're going to go back to wireframe and keep on trucking. So we know he also wants to have some stuff up in the air. And one of the things that I hate about hanging fixtures on a pipe is that when you hang them straight out, when you yoke out 90 degrees, you call it yoking, 90 out. I used to call it roostering. I heard a guy do it once and I thought it was kind of clever, so I called it roostering. It changes a lot of like what your angles can be and how things can go. I hate it, but in the case of this show, we're going to have to deal. So I'm going to hang, if we're looking at our front view, we've got quantum profiles all on the floor. I'm thinking I'm going to hang a few more profiles on the truss to get some aerial effects over the band. There's a couple other options you could do. You could do like LED washes or small LED fixtures and movers, which actually isn't that bad an idea. We'll think about that. And again, a lot of, at least from my experience and the way I work, is I do a little bit of trial and error. I hang some fixtures, see what it looks like. If I decide I hate it, I'll go, okay, well that didn't work. Delete them and start over. Try some new things. It's not that hard. That's the beauty of working in 3D and in CAD. We can make changes as we go and do all kind of fun stuff. So in that spirit, let's go ahead and hang some more lights just to see what it looks like if we do it. So let's hang some more profiles. I want to hang a profile. Let's do 4. And I want to hang them. We'll start with hanging them on the blank pipes for now. So we're going to go library, Mac quantum profile. We're still in that layer. And we're going to hang them at the very tippity top. Now, there are ways to mount a fixture upright on a pipe. Let's see if, again, thinking about what our vendor is, does Christie have such a thing? Let's look at ground support. Not really. What they do have, and this is going to be something to always think about, is how to use gear effectively that you're not in a way you're not supposed to do it. So we're going to talk about that real fast and then say, oh, we got it, and move on. You can see here, base floor fixture truss mountable. You can see this guy here. If we pull him up, I don't know if it gets any bigger. Not really. It's something that you can bolt to the top of a truss, or you can just put it straight on the floor, and then you have a place to hang a light. Or you can take a fixture, like a small, you can also do something like take a small little piece of pipe, a 1 foot or 2 foot piece of pipe, take a 90-degree locked cheese burrow, clamp the crap out of both. So then you have just a little bitty T right at the top. And then you can mount a fixture on top at the very, very top of a truss. 10 feet up's a long way, and a quantum profile is a heavy fixture, so we're not going to do that. But, you can think about a lot of ways you can get around doing stuff like that. In this case, we are just going to say YOLO and hang it at the very, very top. Can I hang it on that 16 foot? I can. 1, 2, 3, 4. And just because I can, I'm going to put it on the corner ones too. Boom. I know there's no corners of dark. I'm at the ends. Bam. So now we got all these. Well, they're looking the wrong way. So let's select specify. We can't really specify, so we're just going to select them and move and do our thing. So we're going to look at our front. We can do it just like this. So we are going to select all these quantum profiles that we just put on the pipe. So we're going to select one. Control. It's not shift, it's control. In WYSIWYG land. Select all these fixtures. And then Alt Enter to pull up your fixture properties. We know from working with the X4s that our spin of -90 seemed to do the trick. Let's try it. Yeah, look at that. So we know that that worked. And now we have some quantum profiles pointing out at the audience for right now. Yeah. But we can move those and do all kinds of things. So now, when you have a pipe and you've got a big fixture yoked out like that on it, you know for sure when you take this thing on the road, you either have the heaviest base plate imaginable, or you get a big flat base plate, and then on the back of it, you're going to have to load it up with sand. That's just the name of the game. We all have to deal with it. A road case full of sandbags sucks, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So we've got our thing here. The other option is, again, going to something that's ground supported. But space being limiting, we're not going to do that. And we may say screw it and go to something. Let's say we're doing a box truck, and then we have a lot more options. I might. We're still here. We're just spitballing for now. In fact, we're going to spitball for another 20 minutes or so, and then we're going to call it a day. I think 2 hours is plenty. I've done the 8-hour streams before, and I hate it. That's not true. I had a blast with you guys, but it's definitely, it wears down on me and the voice, and I've got to go do stuff later today. So we're going to go for about 20 more minutes. Good coffee. So we'll go back to wireframe. Save. Always save. If you watched any of the stream stuff that I've done before, you're not saving enough, guys. Save all the time. Save between every major action. Save between every batch action. Like, put out new fixtures, save. Rotate fixtures, save. You know, all that stuff. You don't have to save between every action, but save between the batches. So that way, at the very least, you're not going to get a recovery file that's like halfway. Move mouse, save. Look at the screen, save. Think about anything besides lighting for 10 seconds, save. Always save. And then set up autosave anyways. Damn right, Chris. Breathe. Save. Always be saving. Saving files, saves shows, saves lives. Remember, it was me who told you that. So now we've got our band here. We've got our thing. We're going to look at the front view because the front view is kind of important. We got a lot of holes to fill with stuff. I'm not saying you always should. You don't always have to get a ton of fixtures in every place, but you can. And it's pretty cool when you do. So one of the things that I happen to know about Christie Lights is that what's on their website is not always their entire inventory. They're a great vendor, and they do sometimes go by and get some specialized gear for a particularly good client. I happen to know that one of the things they got a bunch of, are Chauvet Strike 1s, which is a dual temperature LED blinder fixture. It's one big blinder. The lens of it's about that big. I don't know what that is. Maybe 6 to 7, 8 inches across, something like that. It's a crazy, crazy bright blinder fixture. I have personally worked at companies that own a bunch of Strike 1s. And we have put 6 of them on a downstage truss and lit an entire stage with just these bastards. They are bright and they spread out and they're great. We're going to put some on here because I think it's going to be cool. I am a fan of doing blinders behind the band because I like the silhouettes. And especially for a band like this where they want to be big, they want to be larger than life. No better way to do that than to silhouette these guys from behind and from below. So we're going to do that for them. I'm going to take... Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to do this whole back line, and I'm going to do Strike 1s, pretty low to the ground, point it up to silhouette everybody. You know, again, we can always, remove them and start over. But let's try that. We're going to go purple. And we're going to say SWT Strike 1. So we are going to go to our library browser. Strike 1. There it is. And we're just going to blast them in here real quick. We're not going to go all the way to the floor. You can set it here, but you can see it's hanging below our stage. So be reasonable about where you want to hang things. Don't just go all bonkers about putting stuff on the floor or not. One thing to know about the Strike 1, and this is just true. The Strike 1, its rigging brackets are really big. Like, it sticks out yay far out of the off the sides of the fixtures because it's meant to spin the whole fixture inside there. You got to deal with that. You can see on the screen here over on WYSIWYG, you can see I'm moving this mouse. That fixture's really far away from the pipe. You kind of got to deal. In this situation, what I would personally do is not put them on a pipe. I would probably put them on the ground on the front of each base plate, point up, and aim them every night. and that's a really great way to do it. And for this, and that's kind of what I'm trying to put together. Putting a fixture like this on the ground and then trying to focus requires focus points, and it's a huge pain in the butt. But if I hang it on a pipe and change that focus point, it's not hard at all to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to hang it on this pipe here and give it the look of what would happen if we put it on the floor. So we're going to just about kiss the ground with it. Boom. And we're just going to line up to the center line of that focus position. You can kind of see how that line turns green. That's how I know I'm sitting right on top of that line. And yeah, being a pixel off at this scale can be a bit, but this is also going on a ground and not every stage is level, so you're going to be fine. Let's find that. And we're just going to keep, you know what? I'm going to pause there. Nope, I'm not going to do that because you can clone, but cloning the fixture just moves it into this. You still have to place it, so we're just going to go ahead and keep placing. I'm way too close to my microphone right now. Yeah. Okay, we've placed these guys on the ground. I've hit finish to finish moving them. I'm going to go to the top view. And I'm going to select fixtures by type, select strike ones. And just like all the other fixtures we put on this pipe, spin -90 degrees because that seems to go straight out. So now we have all this here. And if I go to a shaded view, it's a little bit easier to see where everything lives on the ground like that. So right now, this is our package as we've kind of designed it. And let's pull up our layer database and get our band back in here just so we can get a look-see. So you can see there's going to be, some stuff's going to be kind of obstructed, some stuff's not. There's a lot of things happening over here, and we're going to work with all of it as we go. This is just the name of the game when you're working with bands that have backline. You can't hide everything. You can't tell everybody they've got to do a completely clean deck. A guitar player likes to feel a guitar player behind his legs sometimes. You know, it's the nature of musicians, and at the end of the day, they're the ones paying for all this stuff. So you're gonna do what they need. If you have enough relationship with the band and they trust you to say, hey, you know, guys, you can still have all your gear. Let's just hide it behind the lighting rig. You know, maybe they're down. You know, see what you can get away with for the sake of putting on a dope looking show. But don't make that the hill you're gonna die on, because they will fire you fast. You know, just know what battles are worth fighting sometimes. So let's select strike ones. And let's go ahead and tilt these guys up to the audience. So we're going to hit Alt, Enter, and we're going to tilt. Let's say we're going to tilt it 30 degrees, and let's see what that looks like. I do believe it's turned the wrong way around. Yes, because it is on the way that WYSIWYG has it, the vertical is it's currently hung vertical. So tilt is going to make it go left, right. Pan is what's going to make it do things. So let's, while we've still got them selected, let's go back and look at them. And we're going to pan them 90 degrees and see what that does. And it looks like they're pointed at the ground. So we're going to hit -90 and apply. And that looks an awful lot like they're going to be pointed up at the audience. Let's go to shaded view and get ready to be blinded. Yep. But there you go. So now you've got, if I can zoom out enough to make this thing not freak out. There we go. If you put pixels directly at the camera, in WYSIWYG, it's going to freak out and get all pixelated and weird unless you're running like dual 3090s in, you know, NVLink and yada, yada, yada. You got to be a little bit careful about that. One way to get around that is we still have the fixture selected, I believe, so we're going to Alt Enter. And if I go to option or beam options here, I can lower the beam a little bit. So let's lower the beam let's lower it by about half. Hit apply. Okay. So it's still there, but not nearly as bad. So you can still get a vibe of what that's going to look like. And if we look real close, I know it's kind of hard to see. Oh, we can do it just like that. You can see the way that fixture is currently set. It looks an awful lot like it's on the floor with one of the arms down here and one of the arms back here, and they're pointed up at the band. And we did that just by sitting it on a pipe. And you can leave it on the pipe and you can hang it that way if you want. You know, it's fine, but you know, then you're talking about having to deal with mounting hardware and hanging it on a pipe every night. And that's 10 fixtures that you don't have to hang on a pipe. You can get some guy to say, hey, fold these out, stick them on the floor like this. If you're anal retentive like me about prep, you probably gaff taped out where the arms go on the front of that base plate. And you can say, hey, make sure the arms go here and here, and it'll work out the way you want. And, you know, make sure they're all pointed in some version of, you know, 30, 40-ish degrees up in the air. Cool. And, you know, that's when your house techs and your house LDs are super capable of doing stuff like that. You just have to give them the right amount of direction. You give them enough leeway to know that they can do stuff, but don't be like, yeah, just put them on the ground. Give them more than that. But yeah, so we've got this. We're going to go back to our regular CAD wireframe view. And say it with me, Chris Goodman. What are we going to do now? I know chat delay is going to be a thing, but we're going to save. Save. Dope. So we've got about 10 minutes left while I'm working on the last 10 minutes or so of this. If you guys have any other questions about anything, WYSIWYG, MA, touring, whatever, go ahead and post it in chat now. And once we hit that noon for me, whatever it is for everybody else, 6 GMT, I guess, I'll take a few minutes after that and talk to you guys about whatever. Doesn't matter. It could be MA. It could be anything. I'll open MA and talk to you guys about it. But yeah, we'll just keep going. Finish strong on this one. Front view. Let's take the band out again. Goodbye, band. I think there is a place for something to go on top of these guys here that you can be generous with. Let's think about what we can do here. And I'm going to think about it by looking at Christy again. I'm thinking about a wash light there. Something small. We're not putting a quantum wash. We might put, it could be an Aura. It could be a Mac 101, the little tiny guys. One of the things that they're not showing on here, because they technically call it a beam fixture, is the ACL 360i. We could put a 360i on it and do a beam look, but this is a band that's not really a beam style. We could pretend we put the diffuser cap on the 360i, but I think we can get a better look overall if we put a Mac Aura XB on it. Mac Aura XB, if you don't know, Chris Goodman says auras, so we're putting auras. XB, if you don't know, is extra bright, because Martin are proper Germans about it and say exactly what it is. It is extra bright. Which, not to say everybody's like that, because Lord knows GLP has the best name for things. And what's BMFL? That is a bright multifunction luminaire, Chris, or in the real world, that's a big motherfucking light. But we're gonna start with some auras. We're gonna drop a few auras on this, and then we'll call this design for now a day. So we're gonna do a new layer. We're gonna call it Sweettalker auras. My washes are always yellow. Yes, it is absolutely true. GLP has the best names, except for the X4, because they've been calling everything an X4. I assume that's something to do with the fact that it's a four color LED. I don't know, but they've been doing better about naming things after beverages, and I appreciate that. Started from the Jack Daniels and Coke. Yeah, it goes on and on from there. Do they have a GNT fixture? Because that would be pretty funny. Although I am waiting desperately for the release of the... if you guys don't know about this fixture, it's a new hybrid from GLC. It's called the Dunkel. I made that up. But anyways, we're going to drop some auras on here. Aura. Mac Aura XB. And we're once again going to park it at the tippity top of the thing at 16 feet there. Boom. 2. 3. 4. So we've got 4 auras, and you know what? Let's put a few more auras on here. We're going to do them at 14. We're going to put some auras here just so that we can get some more color. So one of the things I talked about in the stream, and I've talked about a little bit today, is that you're not always going to have a well-stocked house rig for a million reasons to handle all the things you want to do in your show. Beam, spot, wash, LED, strobe, blinder, yada, yada, yada. So I want to plan a show that can be self-contained and never once have to worry about the house rig. I can go without it if I have to, just because sometimes it's going to suck, and that's the deal. So we're going to take these auras, select fixtures by type, select the XBs, Alt-Enter for fixture properties, spin, -90. Let's apply to make sure it worked. It did. Cool. Now we've got auras. Now we save. All right. So if I select all these fixtures and go to shaded view, prepare yourself. It's going to be a blowout. Yeah. But now you can see I've got a lot of different options to get lights in a lot of different places. We've got 8 movers on the floor that we can zoom out and do big gobos with. And, you know, I know from the experience with it that the quantum profile has a great set of gobos in it. I've got a few more up in the air, so I can do some features. I can do some silhouettes. I can do some ground-based effects, so I can blow those out really, really wide and make a neat little bed around these guys. I've got the X4 bars that are doing some big color pushes straight out. It looks a little bit funky on standard shaded view. We'll work with that when we get into live mode and working a little bit. And we've got some auras for colors that we can get all over the band. And if we ever wanted to, we could zoom them in real tight and get some beam effects. And then if we also wanted to, we could use that aura in the back and get a little sparkly with some eye candy. And then finally, we got some blinders on the floor right now that are pointed up to silhouette the band. We can put them all in darkness and let them play, and that's great for some other things. That is a, pretty decent, that's a lot of lights. And, that's a pretty, you can do a lot with just that. We're going to look at it again next week, and we're going to make some edits, and we're going to make some changes, and we're going to see what works, what doesn't. I know one thing I'm going to do is add some side light. I'm probably going to put, a couple of auras on each side of the stage so that I don't have to rely on the house for front wash. and for specials, and I can get colors that way. So we're going to look into all that. I'm going to get out of this guy here, go back to wireframe so we can see our pretty design. Yes, and save. I'm going to go to a shaded view, and just it's a neat thing that WYSIWYG just implemented recently, and I'm going to abuse the heck out of it because it looks pretty cool to me. If you guys have been on Vectorworks, you're going to tell me blah, blah, blah. We've had this forever, and I know, but I like it. So we're going to change this, and we're going to go to sketch view. And look at the sketch view, because the sketch view looks dope. So here is our band. And here's all our lights all pointed in the right way. Doesn't that look awesome? It's a little bit funky right now with rendering stuff, but it's because I'm running OBS at the same time and processing a live camera from an iPhone and then exporting and streaming to YouTube and all the things. This is all one old computer. So I'm going to close the stream for the day by saying, don't ever tell me that it's your computer is what's holding you back. You can do a lot of stuff with not a lot of computer. I built this computer for about $1,000 about 5 years ago using 4 to 5 year old parts. The CPU is a 4790K 4-core 8-thread from 2013 or 14. 16 gigs of pretty cheap, slow DDR3 memory. You know, I'm not using top of the line, like, holy crap computer. Uh-oh, right at the end of the stream, I see TI-22 design. Dude. Elliot Mountford, how you doing, buddy? It's good to see you. We've been doing a quick design and getting googly-eyed over sketch view in WYSIWYG, which is like a massively fun thing that I like to see in WYSIWYG now. Yes, it's kind of pointless because you can't actually see lights or anything, but it looks neat, and you know, it makes your client a happy camper. And really, you can get away with sketch view because if you're sending this out to like plans, your plan views are going to have all the things you need, but it looks really cool. So we are going to call this here a stream. We're going to call it a day for today. Excuse me. I'm going to hang around for just a couple of minutes to deal with questions and chat and talk to you guys. So if you have any questions, anything you want to know about, anything at all from any of it, I'm an open book. So what I'm using to stream, what my design plans are, what my favorite food is, I don't care. I'll talk to you guys. I'm gonna skip away for just a second and go to the bathroom because I've had 2 cups of coffee and I gotta pee. But other than that, I'll be right back and then we'll get into some chatty stuff. Cool. We'll call this an intermission for now. right. Hey, what's up, everybody? So now we're just going to sit and chat and kill a little bit of time and talk to you guys because I don't get to talk to you guys all that often. So we're going to do it. Elliot, I hope you're doing well, man. I'm assuming it's kind of late afternoon for you guys, like in that 6 o'clock hour, I believe, for y'all. Let me know if the timing is good for you guys. I'm still I'm trying to figure out the best way to make this work for both sides. I know it's Saturday, but I know that a lot of guys who are in the store business and learning have other jobs now, thanks to COVID and school and all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to avoid getting in the way of that while also still being at a time when people are able and capable of watching stuff. I'm cool to move around. I feel like this is a decent time for everybody. It's a bit early for the West Coast, and that's a bummer. But I gotta find a middle ground. I was looking at doing like 2 of these and doing one around this time for the European audience, and then one later in the day for the Americans. I just decided to split the difference. But you guys talk to me. I know it from the look of it, most of the audience here is European. So if I need to move earlier, I will. I will fight the good fight and get up at dumb 30 in the morning on a Saturday to drink coffee with you guys. But I don't want to mess with dinner time and family stuff. So, we'll see that as we go. So one of the things that I talked to David about ahead of time, and we're going to try it and we're going to see, is one of the things I want to do with this is, we're going to do all the way through. This is probably going to go to, I would say, into February of the whole thing, because we're not just talking about designing a programming show for previs to YouTube. That's cool and it's great, and we can do that in a hurry. But we're also going to talk about the whole package, because there's going to be a lot of guys when we get to tour again, and fantastic news about vaccines coming out. We're going to get into a position where we have a whole lot of tours going out at one time, and there's going to be a whole lot of green guys. Because while everybody's going to be wanting to work, we're not going to have, we're going to be in a new position where every musician has been at home working on new music and new art, and they're going to want to bring it to you guys. So what we're going to be working on is we're going to see a lot of acts go out on the road at once. And that is going to be a strain on the crews. There's going to be a lot of demand for crew guys. And a lot of these guys are going to be in roles they haven't been in before. And you're going to see a lot of newer, greener, and fresher LDs out on the road. And part of this is to try and make a kind of, not a tutorial, but kind of a primer on what to expect and what to be thinking about when you're planning these tours, so that for the house crews, for the house LD, for the house techs, they are going to, you're not going to be trying to shoehorn something that's way too big in here because somebody thought you could do it. You're not going to be trying to be disorganized. I don't want to see you guys disorganized on the road and coming up with stuff that doesn't work. Because then you're doing a lot of really dumb things to try and make a show work, and you're gonna have to be, and it's gonna be an ugly improvisation, and you're gonna be late. It's not gonna work right. You're gonna break stuff, and we're gonna try and prevent all that, because at the end of the day, we're all gonna be going out. We all want to work, but we all also need to be safe, and we also need to put on the best shows we can, because after what's gonna end up being more than a year of no concerts, at least in person, outside of live stream stuff and the occasional small thing where somebody gets in a lot of trouble, I want to see our industry put its best foot forward. You know, and I know there's a hunger for that. In here, just here in the U.S. alone, it's 12 million people that work in this business, and we need to put our best foot forward when we get to work again to show the people why it's important to support the arts, why it's important to support live events. So we're going to be doing that, and I'm going to be doing my damnedest to make sure that we're getting the best of the best out on the road, and we're doing the best shows we can. So that's the deal there. But yeah, so the point of all that long digression is that once we get into that period towards the end of this stream series where we've got the design, we've got the show, I want to get the band in a room, and I want to take the design we make and work with the vendors and get the gear here and build it and do it and videotape it and film it and show you guys what it really is to take it from a design to a real world event. And I think that's a really interesting way of showing you guys top to bottom what it really looks like. So I'm going to give that my best go. I'm going to try and organize that. As we go on, we're going to start talking about how we can afford that, because, you know, these guys aren't going to be doing it for free. These companies need to survive, and these people, the techs, need to survive. So we'll figure that out as we go. You know, it's going to be a whole big thing. There might be some kind of arts grant money somewhere that we can try and get it done. But I want to show you guys all the way from 0 to 60 or 0 to 100%, depending on how you want to look at it, of what this is. And when I get to that point, I want to talk about labeling socket packs, you know, how to tape up cable looms, like all this stuff that a lot of people just kind of assume is something you pick up along the way. But for a lot of people, they've not seen it. We're going to be getting a lot of guys out of school who have been doing this whole production stuff in class in, you know, in a virtual environment, and they haven't gotten their hands on it. You know, for a lot of guys, you know, I can speak for me. I'm kind of upset because I used to have this awesome callus right here, and it's still kind of there, of where I was holding on to gaff tape for the rip, and I'm losing my gaff tape callus, and I don't want that to go away. I'm proud of that. You know, I want to make sure that everybody's prepared for when we do get to go back, so that things go fast, things go well. We can all make some money again and afford to feed our families and put on great shows for, you know, hopefully a happy audience. So that's going to be the deal. We are at 12:15. I'm going to hang out for just a little bit longer with you guys because y'all are dope. Let me know if there's anything you guys want to particularly talk about, and I will say way too many words about it. Oh. It's been a long week, you guys. I usually put out a video, whether it's edited from a stream or something, on Tuesdays, but on I guess it was either Sunday night or Monday night. I can't remember which. It's been a little bit of a blur. Some douche canoe broke into my car and stole a bunch of crap, and I've had to go through the process with the police of replacing it, getting the window in my car replaced, and all this crap. And putting the video out just kind of slid. I feel okay about it because I'm still streaming, I'm still doing all the things, but that's the deal why that didn't happen this week. I'm gonna start doing some more of this stuff because I've been doing other odd jobs to try and keep some money rolling in, but I've missed making this stuff for you guys. So I'm going to get back into that really hardcore over the holidays and stuff, so that there's some stuff going on. Yeah, that's the plan. Good to know. I miss most of the Siltunics. Always interested in the other flow. Yeah, Andrew, you're welcome to join anytime, man. We're here to answer Cedric. We're here on Saturdays. My plan is to be here every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central, GMT -6, until this is done. We'll have a conversation, and I'll probably end up like skipping over like Christmas, but that's the deal. No, we're ahead to Sunday. No, we're behind you guys. I'm at minus time. I'm -6 from Zulu or GMT. Elliot just another find a solution. Yeah, Chris, I saw Elliot's post about that. I was looking at that PC case, going, "Ooh, that's a chunky boy. I don't know how you're gonna fit that in a carry-on at all." That was a big looking case. I may have been wrong, and it may have been kind of a standard mid tower, but either way, that's. I mean, I'm looking down at my little mid tower, and I'm thinking, there's no way in hell I could get that on a carry-on. Corsair 680X. Yeah, I've got mine's a Corsair. I think it's the R series, R whatever. It's the silent one that's got the sound dampening on the walls. I when I bought this, it's sitting down here on the floor next to me. I've got wood floors, so don't freak out, computer people. It's not on carpet. It's getting all the airflow it needs. It's staying nice and cool. But it's been a great little workhorse for me. I'm hoping to be building a new PC pretty soon. I want to be jumping up in scope in a lot of ways. And one of the things about computers lately that's been awesome is that you're able to kind of buy stuff from different generations and not get super wrecked in terms of like, oh, is this obsolete? Is this out of date? And you're going to try out 3000 series. If you've got a 3000 series, good on you. I don't know anybody who's been able to find one. They've been really just terrible about supply. I'm stoked about the release of the new AMD stuff too, because it's nice to see competition in that space, and I'm looking forward to hopefully either WYSIWYG or somebody going through and figuring out which one of those performs best for WYSIWYG. If somebody's on stream who's got a ton of money sitting around and wants to really help out the lighting community at large, man, somebody call up Puget Systems in Washington and have them spec out the perfect machine for MA into a 3D visualizer, into OBS to stream and show you guys and all the things, because that would be great. I did make a big upgrade recently. So the first, 3 or 4 videos that I posted on this channel back in the summer was done with the computer I've got, which is the 4790K, 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM, basic SSD. Right when they kind of announced the 3000 series, and this always happens with these new generational drops, the price of the 20 series cards just tanked in the used market, because everybody was like, oh, I'm going to wait until the 3000s come out. And so on release day, the price of a 2080 Super went from, like, I got one that was effectively brand new. It got opened, it got installed in a computer, it got run once, and then and then the summertime happened and he went on vacations. And he came back and went, oh crap, now I'm going to get a 3000. So he sold his 2080 Super to me for like, I think I paid $450 for a card that retails for $800 to $900. And that's how I go. I'm not buying new stuff, hardly ever, for a computer, because I don't need to be bleeding edge technology for doing what I do. At the end of the day, running MA is nothing. I mean, you can run MA on a pretty damn low powered laptop, and you're cool. Now that I'm in the big visualizer game, it's a whole other animal, and I need to step my game up some. And I know that the next one for me is going to be I know I'm going to go Ryzen. I know I'm going to go to like one of their top ends from the prior generation, unless, you know, we find out in the forums that WYSIWYG just destroys on the new Ryzen 5000s. It'd be great. I wonder where the program's bottlenecked. Yeah, I mean that's the question is where the bottleneck is. With WYSIWYG is a brutal program to run because it's both CPU and GPU bound. You know, it kind of depends. Cedric, that's a good idea, man. It's 12:20. I've been going at this for about 2.5 hours plus all the setup time. I'm gonna sign off, say goodbye to you guys, and make sure that this is available on YouTube. I'm gonna cut out that break there for a while, but other than that, I'll just let it be up. You guys have a great day. Stay safe out there. Wear your face covering, mask, whatever. I'm not going to see you guys until after Thanksgiving, so if you guys are of the type that celebrates Thanksgiving, do so in a tiny little group or not at all. We've been doing everything else over Zoom, birthdays, weddings, everything else. This is just another holiday. It's not a reason to put yourself or others at risk. So everybody be safe. Learn something new, watch something new, try something you haven't tried before. This is the perfect time to do it. And I'll leave you with that. You guys have a great day.